You know how some people have a work persona and a home persona? Well, what happens when your entire life becomes a TV show, but you're the only one who thinks it's an Emmy-winning drama? If you live to dissect this kind of glorious, high-production awkwardness, you are in the right place. So do me a solid and subscribe to the Star Report. We've got a lot more where this came from. Now let's dive right in. The 33% pretzels. Let's start with her most recent TV venture, the now infamous Netflix lifestyle show, With Love, Meghan. This was supposed to be her big rebrand, her moment to shed the stuffy royal baggage and emerge as the breezy, California chic queen of domestic bliss. Think Ina Garten, but with better lighting and a multi-million-dollar budget. The goal was relatable. The result was not. The show was so bafflingly out of touch that it landed a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. But the real cringe wasn't in the reviews, it was in the details. One of the first moments that had the internet collectively asking, "Wait, what?" was the pretzel incident. In a segment meant to showcase her thoughtful, handcrafted approach to life, Meghan takes a bag of store-bought Trader Joe's peanut butter pretzels and repackages them. She pours them from their original, perfectly fine bag into a new, bespoke, monogrammed bag. That's it. That's the lifestyle tip.
This, we're just gonna put into a different bag.
That's interesting. She takes it from one bag and puts it in another bag.
It's another bag.
And that confuses people.
This is the dictionary definition of performative relatability. It was such a perfect, tiny snapshot of the show's entire problem. She's trying to sell an authentic life that is, in reality, just an endless series of curated, branded, and completely unnecessary gestures. It's not relatable. It's giving rich person has too much time and a label maker. But the pretzel packing was just a light snack before the main course of food safety nightmare chicken. In another segment, she's in her pristine million-dollar kitchen, preparing a roast chicken, and she does it while leaving an uncovered raw chicken, just sitting out on the counter, right next to all the other fresh ingredients. Anyone who has ever spent 5 minutes in a kitchen, or even just watched a single episode of Chopped, knows this is a massive, cross-contamination, salmonella invitation no-no. It was the moment that proved she's not the domestic goddess the show was pretending she is. She's not just like us in the kitchen. She's someone who has clearly never had to worry about food poisoning because, let's be real, she's probably not the one doing the deep cleaning. The show was meant to be her big comeback. Instead, it was a perfectly lit, beautifully produced ick, the curtsy that broke the fourth wall. But before she was the queen of lifestyle flops, she was the star of her own, much more dramatic TV show, the Harry and Meghan docuseries. This was her and Harry's multi-million-dollar chance to finally tell their story, their way. No mean tabloids, no stuffy courtiers, just their truth. And what did she do with that control? She gave us one of the most baffling, self-sabotaging moments in PR history, the curtsy reenactment. She's describing her first ever meeting with the late queen. It's a pivotal, emotional moment in her story. But instead of treating it with, oh, I don't know, a shred of reverence, she decides to turn it into a physical comedy routine. She launches into this giant, goofy, medieval times dinner and tournament-style bow, laughing as she does it.
Like, I curtsied as though I was like...
You have to watch Harry's face. He looks like he's watching his car and his house and all his money just slowly roll off a cliff. He's completely frozen, just staring at her, like he cannot believe this is the take she's choosing to give. This wasn't just an awkward moment, it was an awkward production choice. She produced this, she filmed this. She probably watched it in an edit bay and thought, yes, perfect. It was so profoundly disrespectful, not just to the late queen, but to her own husband and the entire culture she married into. It was the moment her "I'm just a naive American" act completely crumbled, and the docuseries was just full of these little scripted, candid moments that just felt off, like the bizarre, stilted exchange she has in her kitchen with a friend. The friend says, "I love your look," and Meghan, with dead serious confusion, replies, "Oh, I'm not Luke."
Love your Luke?
Sorry, what's that?
You're Luke. You look amazing. You're Luke.
My Luke,
Who is Luke? Why would she think she was being called Luke? It's like watching two robots try to simulate human friendship based on a script they only half memorized. It perfectly captures the one thing that makes so many of her public moments awkward, a hyper-awareness that she's on, even when she's supposed to be off. The fairy tale plot hole. But all these self-produced shows, the lifestyle flop, the docudrama, the podcast, were really just her attempt to rewrite the narrative of the biggest TV event of her entire life. The Oprah interview. This wasn't just an interview, it was the Super Bowl of royal gossip. It was her serious actress role, and the performance was flawless. The lighting, the tragic backstory, the tearful confessions. It was must-watch TV. But there was one glittering, fairy tale-esque plot point that ended up being the most awkward TV moment of all, because it just wasn't true. I'm talking about the secret garden wedding. She and Harry told Oprah, with complete sincerity, that they had a secret, private wedding 3 days before the massive public one. Just the two of them and the Archbishop of Canterbury.
3 days before our wedding, we got married. No one knows that, but we called the Archbishop and we just said, look, this spectacle is for the world, but we want our union between us.
The two of us in our backyard with the Archbishop.
It was an amazing story. It was romantic. It was intimate. It was their us against the world moment. It was also a complete fabrication. The awkward part didn't happen on the TV show. It happened in the days that followed. The Archbishop of Canterbury himself was forced to issue a public statement clarifying that, no, that didn't happen. What they had was a private exchange of vows, not a legal wedding. The actual wedding was the billion-dollar one we all watched. This was the ultimate, your show got bad reviews. It was a public, global fact check that completely punctured the narrative she had so carefully crafted. The truth she presented on her biggest ever TV show turned out to be just a really good story. And the awkwardness of being publicly corrected by the head of the Church of England is a level of cringe most of us will never have to experience. The Ellen prank-ocalypse. After the serious drama of the Oprah interview, her brand needed a hard pivot. She needed to be fun again, relatable, down to earth. So she booked a comedy role on the Ellen DeGeneres Show in 2021. This wasn't just an interview, it was a full-on hidden camera prank segment. This was her big, I'm back in LA and I'm fun tour. It was supposed to be her moment. But it backfired spectacularly. With an earpiece in, Meghan was forced to do whatever Ellen told her. This included randomly squatting in public, chanting and moaning while pressing a crystal to her head, eating like a chipmunk, and, in the moment that will live in cringe infamy, yelling, "Mommy wants some heat," while chugging hot sauce from a baby bottle.
Mommy needs some milk. Get the milk out of my purse.
Mommy needs some milk. Oh!
Give me my
No,
milk.
thank goodness.
Okay, now drink it.
This is what I do for my kids to
I
cheer
sing
them
a
up.
little song.
I sing a little song.
I'm a kitten.
I'm a kitten, mew, mew, mew.
You're a kitten.
You're a kitten, mew, mew, mew.
Cuomo, you sing it too.
Oh, yeah, I'm a mew, mew, mew.
This wasn't just awkward, it was a brand disaster. It was like watching a Supreme Court justice do a keg stand at a frat party. The whole point of her brand was dignity, poise, humanitarian. And here she was, on national TV, acting like she was auditioning for a failed Jackass spinoff. The secondhand embarrassment was nuclear. You could see the vendors she was pranking just looking at her with this horrified pity. They weren't laughing with her, they were just confused. It was the Duchess title crashing head-on into the desperate-for-a-laugh reality of daytime TV. It was chaotic, undignified, and proved that while she'd left the royal family, she was still willing to do anything she was told, as long as the person telling her was an A-list host. The briefcase and the bimbo. But to really, truly understand Meghan, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, before Suits, before Harry, before the palaces. You have to go back to Deal or No Deal. In 17, yes, from 2006 to 2007, she was briefcase girl number 24, a classic, paying the bills gig for a budding actress. She stood there in a tiny dress and held a metal box. Harmless, right? The show itself wasn't the awkward part. The awkward part is how she talks about it now. Years later, on her Archetypes podcast, Meghan revisited this time in her life, but she didn't frame it as a gig I did to get my union card. Oh no, she framed it as a deep existential trauma. She claimed she felt objectified and reduced to a bimbo. She said she was forced to be all looks and little substance.
I ended up quitting the show. I was so much more than what was being objectified on the stage. I didn't like feeling forced to be all looks and little substance.
Meghan details what went on.
This revisionist history is what's truly awkward. First, it's incredibly insulting to the other women on that show, many of whom, like Claudia Jordan, came out and publicly refuted Meghan's claims. They said it was a great, high-paying job that opened doors for them, and they were never treated like bimbos.
There were different stations for having your lashes put on or your extensions put in or the padding in your bra. There was a very cookie-cutter idea of precisely what we should look like.
The models were known for showing lots of skin, wearing skimpy dresses and high heels. But today, two of Meghan's former castmates are hitting back on social media. Deal or No Deal never treated us like bimbos, writes Claudia Jordan. I'm especially protective of Howie Mandel, who was nothing but kind and respectful.
Second, it just reeks of inauthenticity. She's trying to retroactively fit her jobbing actress past into her new feminist icon brand, but it just doesn't fit. The awkwardness is the Times revising of her own history, asterisk, the attempt to turn a cheesy but standard Hollywood gig into a part of her struggle. It was the first, and perhaps most telling, moment of her producing her own TV show. But if she thought rewriting her past was awkward, it was nothing compared to when her guests on her own show refused to follow her script. Mariah Carey's Uno reverse card. For her Archetypes podcast, Meghan decided to dissect the word diva. And to do this, she brought on the undisputed, reigning, heavyweight champion of divas, Mariah Carey. Meghan's TV host script was simple: frame diva as a negative label unfairly applied to difficult women. She explained her theory, positioning herself as the cultural critic and Mariah as the subject. Mariah listened, and then, in a moment of glorious, unscripted chaos, she flipped the entire interview on its head. She just disagreed. She told Meghan that she herself has diva moments.
2022 episode of Archetypes, Mariah remarked, "You give us diva moments sometimes, Meghan." The Duchess was so taken aback that she felt compelled to narrate her reaction later in the same episode, saying, "I started to sweat a little bit. I started squirming in my chair. That's not true. Why would you say that?"
You can hear the record scratch panic in Meghan's voice. She gets flustered, she stammers, she nervously laughs. What kind of diva moments? She literally admitted in the podcast's outro that she was sweating and stopped in her tracks. This wasn't just an awkward TV moment, it was a total loss of control. Meghan, the host and producer, wanted to be the one analyzing the celebrity. But the actual A-list celebrity just looked at her, smiled, and reminded her that she was just another cast member in the show, not the director. Getting called out by a pop legend on your own show is bad. But you know what's worse? When your show is so bad that the network itself calls you out publicly? The grifters goodbye. The $20 million Spotify deal was supposed to be the beginning of the Sussex media empire. It was her big prestige TV audio moment. Instead, it produced one single season of Archetypes before the whole thing collapsed. Now, when a massive celebrity deal dies, you get the standard, boring PR spin statement. Spotify and Archewell Audio have mutually agreed to part ways and are proud of the series we made together. It's clean, it's polite, it's corporate. But then, Bill Simmons, a top Spotify executive and one of the biggest figures in podcasting, decided to produce his own little TV moment. He went on his own podcast and gave the world the real review.
The grifters. That's the podcast we should have launched with them.
This is so far beyond a normal awkward moment, it's in another galaxy. This is a network executive publicly calling his former nine-figure talent effing grifters. It's the equivalent of a studio head walking on stage at the Oscars to announce his last big movie was a fraud. It was the final, brutal, and most honest review of her TV show career, and it was devastating. So, the podcast was a bust, and the lifestyle show was a 33% flop. But surely, the Harry and Meghan docuseries, their magnum opus, was a factual masterpiece, right? Well, about that, the paparazzi who weren't there. A central theme of the Harry and Meghan docuseries, the entire thesis, really, was the relentless, terrifying, and unethical press intrusion. The show goes to great lengths to paint a picture of a life under constant siege, a narrative that is absolutely central to their truth. In one of the most dramatic sequences, Harry talks about the stress of being followed, and the show uses this intense, chaotic, close-up footage of a massive swarm of paparazzi mobbing a car, shouting and shoving their cameras. It's supposed to be a terrifying glimpse into their life. There's just one problem. It wasn't them.
Because toxic press was destroying his mental health.
Harry and Meghan went off on the British media in their documentary, but they were called out for lies and misleading footage.
When Meghan complains about being hounded by paparazzi, this video is used to illustrate her point. But it turns out the footage is actually of photographers pursuing Donald Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen. Now, this photo claiming to show a threatening paparazzi. Turns out that photo is actually from the London premiere of Harry Potter in 2011.
What? As in, that's not from
No, hang on, that's in their doco.
Yeah, that's in their doco, the trailer for their
they were all
doco.
taking photos of them.
That's at the Harry Potter premiere that neither of them were at.
Oh my.
A Netflix thing. They were sitting in the front of a car and my sister was like looking around and said, "Do you have that pap on the scooter?" And Harry said, "Where is he?" And then there was a camera shot through the car and there was like one guy on a bike. He didn't have a camera. There was nobody else around. But they were supposed to be in a heightened state of paranoia as the paparazzi were following them. Nobody was following them.
Harry and Meghan claimed to be in another car chase in New York City.
Car chase and New York together. How is that even possible on the busy streets of New York City?
The New York mayor, too, doubted the series of events.
I would find it hard to believe that there was a 2-hour high-speed chase. I find it hard to believe.
I think people in New York know if it was possible to have car chases in New York, we'd all make it to the theater on time.
The internet and actual journalists immediately recognized the clip. It wasn't footage of Harry and Meghan. It was well-known stock footage of paparazzi mobbing Katie Price, a British reality TV star, at a courthouse trial in 2016. A completely unrelated person at a completely unrelated event years before they even left the UK. This wasn't a mistake. It was a production choice. They chose to use misleading, out-of-context footage to sell their truth. It's the kind of cheap, manipulative trick you'd expect from the very tabloids they claim to hate. It was a self-inflicted wound that made their entire documentary feel like just another staged TV show, using fake drama to manufacture sympathy. If you can't trust the documentary footage, can you at least trust the vulnerable, authentic talk show appearances, right? The bare-faced gambit. Well, after the Netflix and Spotify dramas, the brand needed another reset. This time, the TV show was an appearance on the Jamie Kern-Lima Show, a podcast and web series hosted by the billionaire founder of IT Cosmetics. The PR hook was irresistible. Meghan, raw and unfiltered, she appeared, not as a duchess, but as a friend, sitting on a cozy couch, wearing a sweater, and most importantly, bare-faced. No makeup, just her. Except, the internet's collective BS detector immediately went into overdrive.
Yes. It's gonna be fun.
Hi, crew.
You made me cry. Good thing I have no makeup on. You look so pretty. I have not done a show in no makeup since my 1000 QVC.
In the world of celebrity TV, no makeup is almost never no makeup. It's no makeup, a look that often costs thousands of dollars and takes hours to apply, specifically to simulate authenticity. But the look was only half the problem. The show itself was the real cringe. The host, Jamie, just gushed for an hour. It wasn't an interview. It was a fawning, over-the-top performance of adoration. She praised Meghan's bravery, her authenticity, her light. It was a hermetically sealed echo chamber where every word Meghan spoke was treated as profound wisdom. It felt, once again, like watching a highly produced infomercial for the brand of Meghan, complete with calculated, vulnerable admissions, and a host who was clearly reading from the same PR playbook. From Briefcase Girl #2four to the queen of cringe Netflix, the one constant has been this: she's always on, the camera is always rolling, and the script is always about her. What's your favorite Meghan on TV moment that I missed? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to join the Star Report by hitting that subscribe button for all the latest cheers, chaos, and cringeworthy moments from the celebrity world. See you next time.